Welcome back from that short commercial break, and at this very time we're going to review what's making headlines into the print media in our press review session. And of course, definitely we always stick to the business. And don't forget, GoTV channel 394, DSTV channel 372, accompanied with our social media platforms. That's at Smart24 TV, Twitter, Smart24 TV Live, YouTube, and Smart24 TV, that's Facebook. All right, and I'm going to start with a new vision to see what's making headlines in the world of business. And I see as the government earmarks 120 billion shillings. That's for innovators right there. This Kabianga, that's the state minister for ICT, noted that Ugandans have the capacity to do great innovations, but they lack support and extensive knowledge. So that's good news for any person right there into the innovation space, as a fund has been allocated to fund technological, of course, transformations. He says that this since technology is making Uganda, the world a global village, such initiatives are going to be essential to ensure that Uganda is part of that move. So very positive news for innovators right there, but in particular tech innovators. And also something very remarkable here, as government is set to release 250 billion to SACCO's accounts. Very, very interesting. Of course, the long wait for the parish development model funds for this year is over. Of course, that's the finance ministry had delayed releasing the funds for a quarter of this financial year on account on the recent prolonged dry spell and limited resources in the government coffers. Yes, 250 billion are released to SACCO accounts. Very interesting. Just for the interest of time, let me drop the new vision aside and let's go straight to the Daily Monitor. And of course, as Ebola cases rise to 7, neighboring countries and the World Health Organization have joined calls by Uganda urging people to take care as health workers, of course, work around the clock to tempt the highly contagious diseases. And still about that particular report, we see how schools have planned to protect their learners from Ebola, still into the Daily Monitor. And of course, confirmed cases rise to 7 in a space of just 2 days. So that's something with very, very strong economic implications towards the country. And that's it for the press review. Let's get straight to the international news. And of course, getting straight to what's making headlines, that's in the world of business internationally across borders. We start with South Africa, as inflation slightly curbed by lower fuel prices. South Africa's inflation rate, which hit a record high of 7.8%, that's in July, edged down to 7.6% in August from a year earlier. This was fueled by the drop in the fuel prices, the country's statistics agency said that was on Wednesday. Against the backdrop of the record increase in food, transport and electricity prices, protest against high living costs and unemployment brought together thousands of the people to head to the streets last month. That was in Pretoria. Inflation has reached its highest level in years, if not decades, in many countries, fueled in part by the war between Ukraine and Russia and the economic recovery following the easing of the restrictions of the COVID-19. In contrast to fuel, food prices continue to rise in South Africa at 11.3% in August from a year earlier, up from 9.7% in July. Bread and cereals recorded 3.1% increase between July, that was in August, raising the annual rate from 13.7% to 17.8%. Cornmeal rose 4.8% from July 2020, 9.1% year over year. The annual inflation rate, that's for the meat, decreased slightly from 9.4% in July to 9.2% in August, with a monthly increase of that is 0.7% regarding that. Annual meat inflation has remained above 8.0 since May 2021. In July, South Africa Central Bank attempted that's to stabilize inflation by raising its policy rate by 75 basis points to 5.5%, the largest increase in a decade. Okay, as a wind-up, the institution also revised its estimates for the country's economic growth downward, expecting a slowdown to 1.3% in 2023 before a slight rebound to 1.5% in 2024. After a short recovery that brought the country back to the pre-pandemic growth levels, GDP is down by 0.7% in the second quarter compared to the previous one. Okay, and that's it for South Africa. Now let's cross over to Tanzania, as Tanzania's avocado fetch 10,000 shillings a piece in Belgium. Tanzania's avocados fetch a premium price in Europe, with one fruit selling for more than 10,000 that's Tanzanian shillings in the Belgian market. So literally one piece of avocado is going for 10,000 shillings. You can imagine that. This was said by Tanzania's ambassador to Belgium, that's Justus Nyamanga, who encouraged local farmers to sell their avocados to European markets due to the lucrative prices that they fetch. Popular avocado varieties in Tanzania are Hass, there is Fiat, there is Pinkerton, and to some extent Pura Bella. However, the Hass variety is the most popular in the European markets. That's, you can see that quite the quality of that avocado right there really has quite a high demand, not only just in Europe but also the world at large at the same time. The Tanzania Horticulture Association estimates that the country's avocado exports reached 11,237 tons, or 520 containers worth 33 million US dollars. That was in 2021. This is a 12.6% more compared to 2020 sales. According to the Tanzania Private Sector Foundation, in 2018, Tanzania exported 7,551 tons with a total value of 8.5 million US dollars to Europe, Africa, and Asia. Taha projects that Tanzania will export 15,000 tons in 2023, thus generating 45 million US dollars in foreign earnings. That's, of course, increasing their forex reserve. Apart from Belgium, other markets with large untapped export potential include Japan, there's Switzerland, Spain, Germany, the United Arab Emirates, and China, while the potential export, that's within Africa, the potential export for avocado, of course, remains small, quite very small. There is quite a low adaptation for the people, for the population in Africa towards importing Tanzania's avocado. Tanzania's prominent avocado producing regions are Mbeya, there is Jombe, Songwe, and Iringa in the southwest, as well in Kilimanjaro, Arusha, and Tanga in the northeast of the country, where coffee and tea were once the predominant cash crop being grown there. According to the Diplomat, between January and May 2022, Tanzania's export to Belgium reached 81.6 million pounds, whereas Belgium's export to Tanzania stood at 75.2 million pounds during the same period. Wow, very, very remarkable there. And let's wind this up with Kenya, and this time around we are looking at Kenyan passports. Kenyans without biometric passports to be barred from traveling in December. Interesting. Kenyans with old passports have until November, that's to acquire the new biometric digital ones. Immigration Director, that's General Alexandra Muteshi, made a statement yesterday. Travelers will not have changed their passports by the end of November, will be banned from traveling. Already, some countries like Spain, and others in the European Union are not accepting the old passport from Kenyan travelers, adding to the confusion that has been occasioned by several postponements. Kenya rolled out the new chip-embedded passports for its citizens. That was to tame the rampant forgery and impersonation of the holders. The new features are meant to make it impossible for anyone to forge or duplicate a Kenyan passport. The new e-passport conform to international passport security standards set by the International Civil Aviation Organization that acquire they have to tamper a proof of electronic chip with a holder's information and travel history. Okay, the rollout of the e-passports with the 10-year-old, of course, with the 10-year validity period, marked the beginning of the end of the analog passports that have been in use since independence and have joined more than 60 other countries that use new passports. This decision to phase out the old generation passport was first made public. That was in 2015, and the electronic passport was to be launched in December 2016, but has been extended several times. The shifting deadline has led to confusion with some foreign consulates announcing they would cease to accept Kenyan passport only for the government to give an extension. And that's it for Kenya right there into transitions, just like, of course, how the world is moving on. Everything is going digital, and this time around it's going to be a biometric passport that you will have to own if you are to cross to the rest, to other borders away from Kenya. And that's it for this particular session. And now let's head straight to the business tips and quotes. But firstly, let's review the business tip of the day. The business tip of the day states that push for a decision. Maybe it's terrible, maybe it's a terrible place to be. It's not good for you. It's not good for the customer. You are left unsure if your customer is ready to buy, and the customer is in a limbo waiting for a solution. When you know that prospects have enough information to make a decision, push them to make one very interesting push for a decision. Sometimes prospects, of course, will bring suggestions out there about the possibilities. Probably it could be a way to increase sales within your company, but at the end of the day, they're just putting up ideas, but no one is deciding. As an entrepreneur, as the person behind the organization, you have to take the responsibility. You make a decision, and above all, make a decision, but act on it. Of course, that will create a difference between you and other entrepreneurs. Definitely, the only difference between the people that we see make it is the ability to decide and also implement what they have decided. And now let's wind this up with the business quote of the day. Now the quote of the day today, as I normally like starting with the author, that's Pierre Omide, the founder of the chairman of the eBay. Of course, eBay is a famous e-commerce platform, where you can shop things. He says, if you're passionate about something and you work hard, then you will be successful. Yeah, very clear as it is. It's not really that deep concept, but something really straightforward, just like the way you hear it. Many times we are passionate about things. We dream when we say that I want to do this, but we find it very hard to act on our passions, and definitely before you know it, you are the same person year in, year out. You are the same, you always keep dreaming. And definitely, even the people you with probably could be having friends that used to trust in you because of your passions. At the end of the day, they start to lose hope into your decisions simply because they don't see like you have a future. Why? You don't act on your passions. So it's important, as much as you're passionate, act on those passions. And that's it for this session. And let's get into a short commercial break. We'll return with the coffee court. Stick around. Good morning.